says, then you can start a webinar. I mean, you can once that voice, it's become like the voice of of everything. Hi, I'm Mike Blinder, and I am publisher of a magazine called ENP, editor and publisher. Believe it or not, we're 140 years old, and Wikipedia says we're the Bible of the newspaper industry. I don't know about that, but we have been printing a magazine for 140 years. Not me, because there's been previous. I don't even think I'm an owner. I think I'm more of the steward of this brand, and we're proud of it. We are very, very proud to have a print product, but I wanted to tee up this whole webinar by letting this audience know that print is not our only channel. Duh. Print is the center of our brand. And this is something I suggest a lot to news publishers, the tens of thousands that follow us each day. You should be proud of it, in my opinion. We actually spend a lot of time designing our cover, and it's seen on every single digital page. And there's a reason for that. I call print my differentiator. In other words, I'm not a blog. I'm not just some entity out there. I am a magazine. And actually, if you ever get an email from me, it's right there in my subject line. I have teams constantly say to me, where people come on board, let's call ourselves ENP Multimedia. Let's call our, no, I'm ENP Magazine. Charity, do you like that or not? What do you think? I mean,
I
this,
do.
I
Yeah,
mean,
we're 5280 magazine. It
right.
incorporates many more things than just the original product.
I agree. So anyway, by the way, we're having a side. I haven't even introduced my panel. I'm Mike Blinder, publisher of ENP Magazine. If you stick around till the end of this thing, those that attend will get a free copy of ENP Magazine. We had to have over 300 register for this. Many are going to be seeing this recording, but I will be giving a free full year subscription to the magazine if you stick around. Anyway, welcome to our panel today. Charity Huff, CEO, publisher of 5280 Magazine. Mike, I'm going to try to say this perfectly.
Dragosevich.
Dragosevich. But Mike, can I call you Drago? Because everybody seems to. Is that right?
Hey, that's perfect.
I mean, that's at least how you were introduced to me by Dave Sanchez. Dave, welcome. Dave, because
Welcome.
when Dave, you said to me when you were putting this together, Drago's going to be on this. And I searched for a Drago and I found one, but it wasn't this guy. And of course, a very, very good friend of ours that just agreed to be part of this webinar, thanks to Charity, Jody Cook Redwood, president of Baxter Research. Jody, welcome.
Thank you.
Um,
Happy
I'm
to be
very,
here.
I'm very excited to have you here. I mean, because you're going to actually give us some cool insights about the power of print and the research projects you've been doing. Plus, we're going to add to that, you're also a publisher yourself, correct? You run a magazine.
Yes, that is correct. B2B publication.
So what I'm going to do is go around the horn first, if our audience will allow us during our 1 hour journey. I'm going to say during this journey, there is a lot of ways to communicate with us, but the one that I want you to use is chat, because I don't know what a hand raise means in Zoom. That's just me. And if you do Q&A, let's just stay in one forum chat. And here's the thing I want to warn you about. On Zoom, chat defaults to host and panelist. I don't like that. I want you to click it to everyone. And I think that's important, and I'll tell you why. I'd rather have you pose a question. I got to get that out of the screen if I can. I got to get that out of the screen. If I think I have to do is stop PowerPoint to do this. Boy, here we go. I'll go back. I want everyone to be part of that dialogue, if I may. So that means even the hosts, everyone should use chat to communicate with us, the audience. If you have a question, if you don't like what we're saying, if you disagree, if you have information you'd like to augment into the dialogue, put it in chat, click it to everyone. First, I'd like to introduce Charity. Charity 5280 is a what? Is that a zip code? What is
It
it?
is the elevation here in Denver. We're a mile high. So 5280 is a mile high.
All right, you just recently acquired this publication, am I correct?
Correct. Last December, so less than a year ago.
Tell us a little bit about it. Why did you pick it up? What does it mean to you? What is this brand all about?
Yeah, 5280 is over 30 years old. Our founder, Dan Brogan, started the magazine kind of single-mindedly missioned around making sure that we were servicing the community here in Denver, setting the bar as the tastemakers and helping define what it means to be a Denverite and from the Rocky Mountain region. And we try our very best to, there's our values, thank you, to service the community through our journalism, first and foremost. Second, through our website and our ability to reach and bring kind of trend setting, what's happening in the market to our readers through our newsletter and our website, and then through our events, kind of making it evident what it is to be part of the Denver community. So we are pretty darn large. We've got, as you can see there, over 335,000 monthly readers. We have a paid distribution of 55,000. What I always like to point out when I'm introducing 5280 is kind of the age range, right? We service folks from their early 20s as they're just entering into their professional career to affluent C-suite folks and retirees. So we kind of cover the gamut here in Denver.
Amazing. And it's also a very beautiful product that you offer. And we're going to dive more into what you do and how you do it and how it relates to this audience in a moment. But I want to continue to go around the horn, if I may, and I want to ask Drago to join us. Drago, you're not just one magazine. You're like an empire, if do you mind me putting it that way?
Well, we're in a smaller market, and it's easier to break some of these publications out into different titles and different audiences because our audience is so spread out. So I wouldn't necessarily say an empire, but a cool little strategy that we take that works.
How many publications are you printing right now?
Well, we have some annuals, some monthlies. There's around 7 to 9 on any given year. However much paper publication printers has usually, you know.
You seem to have a fun environment. I was diving into seeing it looks like you got a great workplace. You got a team that's motivated. I got to ask, does this have anything to do with the fact that you have a career in the NFL? I don't know do people know that you were actually come up on Wikipedia as a famous punter?
Well, I was in a kicker punter, and you have a lot of time to kill. So humor, and I'm really good at eating sunflower seeds and telling jokes, and so you just gotta keep that going in your career, you know?
All right, I'd like to, if I may, bring in Dave Sanchez. Dave, first of all, I want to thank you for being a supporter of our mission at ENP. You're not only
Oh, thank you, Mike.
a friend, but you're also a supporter. And I want to say one thing. I almost feel like I should be compensating you for 2 pages in my magazine because Dave gets the center spread of our magazine, and it is gorgeous stuff. I said almost thinking of compensating you, Dave. Not, I mean, we're glad that you're a supporter, but some of your ads are just mind-boggling. So is this your own design team? I mean,
Well, I would love to take some credit for that, but we have a marketing department run up by a wonderful person named Carly, and she's 100% behind it. She puts it on my desk, and I say it looks beautiful, and we move on. And so she's done a fantastic job for her. I'm so happy to have her on our team.
could you tell me a little bit more about your operation? I mean, how old are you? Not you personally. The
I
operation.
know.
You brag a lot on the official publication of the Denver Broncos. Am I right, sir?
Yeah, we're the official printer for the Denver Broncos, and it couldn't be any better timing because last night, for those of you who missed the game on TV, we won. And it's been an up and down season, but we're looking forward to the Super Bowl, which we say every year here in Colorado. So big printer here in Denver, Colorado, niche printer, prints magazines throughout the United States. I think now we're in all 50 states. We have a lot of wonderful titles and a lot of people that print here that I enjoy learning from. I'm super excited to be part of this panel today because I know Charity and Jody and Mike real well, but every time I'm around them, I learn something. And for an old dog like me who's been in the industry forever, it's exciting to hear some of the new stuff that's happening and the things that they're doing. So I'm really looking forward to the information that they give the audience today. It's going to be a good thing.
All right, so let's have some fun now. Let's address some of the questions. Those that registered for this webinar, and again, it was 340 to 350, one of the largest audiences we have had. And we have well over 100 attending, which is great. And again, a lot of the audience loves to see those recordings. Those that are watching this, keep in mind, we're going to send out a link. We're going to be sending out a link later on today to the actual recordings. You can share this with coworkers and what have you. But when people registered, we asked them questions. We said, what's your concern? Why are you attending? And over 100 of the 300 plus asked questions. So I'm going to pose the questions right now and then bring in some panelists to help me with this. Jody, this is me about to flip your letter, Vanna, so stick around, okay? Because this
Okay.
is all about you. A lot of people asked, everybody says print's dead. I mean, it was, and I've heard that. I mean, sure. I mean, how do I get clients to realize the continuing importance of print media? How about this one? New tips and tricks getting people to believe in print ads. That's a tee up for you, isn't it, Jody? I mean,
It sure is.
I'm in your
It's pretty
wheelhouse
good.
now. And more importantly, counter the print is dead argument. So with that being said, I want to set the table today with research. Now, first of all, we do a lot of reporting on this at E&P. So for example, we picked up something from Quill that basically ran down that there's an actual resurgence for niche magazines going on right now. Print
There
is
is.
experiencing a revival. Audiences, especially, let me say this, because this is coming up next, younger generations it almost feels like, this whole thing about vinyl, youth wanting records. By the way, I was a disc jockey in the 70s. I actually made a living playing things with holes in the middle. Depth of focus. When you're reading something, you're not skimming, you're reading. And it's a one-on-one, very intimate environment. I love this, and maybe you'll reaffirm this to me in a second. So scarcity creates value. In other words, not a lot. Print feels like it's magic now. If you're the guy holding a magazine or a book on an airplane, you're kind of standing out from the crowd. And it's working in luxury markets and luxury themes. Jody, I'm going to swing it over to you. Before you give us the wisdom of your research, tell us a little bit more about what Baxter is, what you do, and why your name was brought to me as an expert when it comes to the magic of print and how those ads can really pop to help in audience building and revenue generation.
So I think that the quick and easy answer to that is that Baxter Research can provide analytics for your print ads. So we have a couple of different types of research that we offer, including custom research, all sorts of research. But what we really do for this market is we can prove that your print ads are working, and we can prove that people are engaging with your magazine. We all know people are engaging with our magazines because they exist and we're sending them out and they're still there. But it's great to have actual real data on what happens when people read your articles, how many of those articles are they reading, and what exactly are they doing after they look at a print ad.
We're going to share, and first of all, thank you. Because when I chatted with you late last night, when I said, would you please join this webinar, you had to drop everything. And you were cooking dinner when I interrupted your evening.
I was.
I asked you if you could do an aggregate study for us, because Charity had sent me a text and said, right, Charity, you've got them working on your magazine as we speak, the latest edition, correct?
It's all part of our latest issue. Yep.
Right. So and she said, well, maybe Jody can give us some of the stuff you're working on, but Jody, you're still working on it. So I said, you've done other print publications, and I'm going to run the slides for you if you can, but all of this will be available to our audience. I promise you're going to get a link to this later today, but go ahead, run it down for us.
So we basically took a look at, we work with several lifestyle magazines. And so we kind of pulled the data as a group from that and came up with the salient points of why niche magazines are great and why especially these lifestyle magazines are good for publishers and for advertisers. So the first is, just like you brought up earlier, they spend a significant time reading the publication. So 75% spend at least 30 minutes or more. And just like you said, Mike, that is a conscious decision to sit down with something that you like and enjoy. It's not an email. You didn't click something by accident in your social media feed. It is very much a choice to do that. So far more impactful than having something that's just kind of being thrown at you.
And this is an aggregate study across a number of different publications. So
Yes.
You could legally use this on the street and say Baxter Research is screaming because of the research they're doing on print reading that people are engaged for a long period of time. This is amazingly cool data. What do you mean
Well,
by
and
high
I would just add, if you look at kind of the overall media consumption, it typically is saying that print is somewhere in the 16 to 18-minute range. So what Jody and Baxter are pointing out is that when it's more niche and it's got a really loyal following, you see almost double that.
Unbelievable. What do you mean by high repeat exposure?
High repeat exposure. People are going to pick that magazine up more than one time in the month that it is out there. We've even seen lifestyle magazines where people refer back to it more than 4 times in a month. So, you know, with lifestyle magazines, there's some other things, and it may be later in this slide, I can't remember, but people talk about lifestyle magazines. They talk about things that they've read in lifestyle magazines. They pass them along to their friends to read lifestyle pieces in there because it has to do with your community, right? And so they save them. It's on their coffee table. They refer back to it multiple times. So that is just repeat exposure for your advertisers and, you know, for your editorial.
I love this because it's true. I mean, when we get a number of print publications in our home, and they're on right in front of us for a long time. I mean, which is I love that long shelf life, right?
Absolutely. Especially when I mean, a lot of people who have lifestyle magazines, they're beautiful. They're going to want to have them out. 5280 is a gorgeous magazine. So if it were coming into my home and I were in Denver, I would absolutely want that on my coffee table, and I would, you know, keep it out for guests and look at it repeatedly.
What do you mean by print as a preferred medium?
Well, we all know that most of us out there who have any sort of magazine have multiple options. There's probably e-newsletters, there's online ads, there's social media, there's all of these other things. But print is still the preferred medium for the advertisers in this world. They're going to get far more traction from doing a print ad than they're going to do from a digital ad. Not to say that you shouldn't do both, because if you want to always hit 100% of the people, and the way that people consume content these days is different. So if you want to hit 100%, you should absolutely do both. But print is definitely the most, from what we see, the most impactful.
And I love this. Ads get noticed, right?
Yes. Yes. So our aggregate data says that people are 37% more likely to pay attention to advertisements compared to other media channels if it's in the print magazine.
All right. Now, this to me is something I have seen for a long time. I was chatting with you this morning. We met again on Zoom this morning early, and I told you I've been peddling print for years as a consultant in hundreds and hundreds of cities. There is no question that this reader is desirable, correct?
Yes.
I mean, tell me, affluent, right?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this earlier. Sometimes magazines skew a little older, sometimes they're younger, but generally speaking, the people who are reading lifestyle magazines do have money. And that is part of why they want to be a part of this community. If they're on the younger side, they want to aspire to have more. And if they're on the older retired side, they have it and they're enjoying it.
They're affluent, they're educated, right?
Yep. Yes.
Which is, and more importantly, they spend money. Duh.
Yes.
I mean,
yes, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we all know when you own a home, you're going to spend money. Sometimes whether you like it or not, you're definitely going to be spending money. So all of those little segments that go into building a community, whether it's, you know, going out to dinner or going to your jewelry stores or looking at home improvement or any of those things, those are all things that can be in these magazines that will help the advertisers and help the publishers. One of the things that was not on my first slide that I just want to throw in is that we've also seen that we consider a regular reader of a publication anybody who's reading 3 out of the last 4 issues. And when we get into the lifestyle brands, it's over 90%. Over 90% of their readership are reading 3 out of the last 4 issues for sure. So you've got a regular community that's looking at these pubs all the time.
When I work with news publishers, and I still consult a few, and we interview them, the ones that have a lifestyle magazine or some form of a niche magazine in their portfolio, and this is what I love, and it's coming up here, they get high-end advertisers.
Yeah.
This is where you get the cosmetic dentists. This is where you get the very high-end. I mean, Charity, I had to buy your magazine online because I couldn't get Dave's team to send me a free low-res PDF. So you made
You can afford the
$6.
subscription, Mike. You can afford.
I spend $6 and I leaf through over 100 pages. You got to admit, your advertisers are just high end all over the place, right? You've got, and I looked through the issue where you have doctors, right? And it's just an amazing. So, go ahead. I don't want to interrupt Julie's thunder here. Julie, bring it on home now, if you don't mind. What do we got?
Yeah, so when we talk about these things and we do our research, we ask a lot of questions to see exactly what you're doing after looking at ads. And so basically what it's saying is, yes, I am paying attention to the ads in these publications and they are influencing my buying decision. So they are much more likely to purchase ads or purchase products that they see advertised in the lifestyle magazine that they love and trust.
All right. With that being said, I'm going to go around the table and get some feedback. I mean, you already jumped in once, Charity. Do you affirm this? Do you sell with this data? How do you get over that objection? You saw 3 questions. Print's dead. Why did you even buy that magazine? I mean, tell me how you get over it, Charity, in your environment, if you don't.
That's the first thing. When the press release came out and folks heard my news, they said, wait a minute, the digital person is buying a print magazine. And I'm like, yes, because this is the most beautiful brand in Denver. Everybody knows this brand. It allows us to have conversations and walk in the door with any business, with any community leader. This is what really drives everything that we're doing. So yes, print has a place and will have a place for a long time in my strategy. And yes, as a digital person, I want to make sure that I'm pulling that through and that we're just helping our advertisers reach their audience wherever they are.
Nerd to nerd, I'm the same as you. You and I go way back with the digital world, teaching people what email was, what
That's
social
right.
media was, what video was. I had to convince publishers early in this century that internet, it wasn't a fad, but I love print. It's just that different. Mike, same question. How do you counter it? You must hear it up there. What do you say to your potential advertisers?
Yeah, so we in a smaller market, we don't have the luxury sometimes to work with those types of data points or get a ton of subscribers. So we have to think in different ways and different data. Well, we've learned, and all our publications are profitable in print. They've grown the last couple of years. We know how to sell print really well. But what we've learned, because we're free distribution. So we've started to look at share of voice as a big thing for us. So if we can do a publication around parents and then get really good data on addresses and direct mail and work with pub printers on that and go to somebody and say every single person in this community that has kids that spends the most amount of money on credit cards every year is going to get one of these in the mail. And to us, like that's kind of the big deal for us on data. And then can we get into not only print ads, but mix in some partner content, mix in some programmatic display advertising on top? Can we, offer them more than just the print ad or package it together? And then ultimately, every single sales rep who sells a print ad is getting a meeting to sell more things to. So we talk about direct mail more than we do stands and all that in our community. And so we're trying to be really good at mailing the right people, the right pub, and having the right share of voice. And then we can justify price. We just launched a publication in Grand Forks where every single home got an issue, 21,000. It's a lot easier to ask for $3,900 when you could say literally every home gets one, versus.
So to the small market publishers, you got well, Dave, what do you tell publishers who say, look, I really, they'll come to you and say, I'm exploring this. I'm not sure I want to stick my toe in the water yet. What do you tell someone in a small market with limited resources that wants to launch a publication? One of
the advantages that we have is that we have a wealth of resources, as you can see by the panelist here. And so a lot of the times, as a printing company, people think that we just put ink on paper, but we don't. Our fingers are big into the marketplace. And so in a situation like that, where you're exploring something, it would be very likely for me to say, hey, Charity, can you do me a favor? Can you speak to this person or Mike Jody, you guys all have publications. Can you reach out to this person and give them some of your knowledge? Because I like the way I like to see things is I want people of the same ilk talking. So I don't, as a printing company, I don't want to be the guy that is selling something all the time. I want to be helpful. And sometimes for me, it's much easier if I can put a publisher with a publisher and say, you guys discuss these things. And then it really becomes much more of a resource for us.
All right, I'm going to go back to our questions, if I may. There was a lot of questions that centered around special sections. I mean, I remember the good old days when I wasn't even in. I just remember, okay, there must be some business out there in weddings. Let's do a bridal section. I mean, you would create the section around an advertiser category or what have you. But I want to really do a much deeper dive and a more thoughtful look. Some of the questions we received, and I'm going to then go around the panel if I may. Love to hear about special editions, the role editors play in their success. In other words, are you inventing the section just to go after the advertising category, or because in our case, it's all editorial driven. We want to please our audience first. And then, of course, sales has an input into how viable we could sell ads around a special theme. So I want to ask you that, Charity, as well as Mike. What types of special editions, glosses you're seeing bring in the most revenue? Beyond the local ones, like 40 under 40, we do those as well. It's a 50 or a 50, whatever. And then of course, there's excuse me, and there's been some questions about, are there some when do you know it? And I thought I had a slide on this. When do you know it works, and when do you know it doesn't work? We've actually had guests on my show and that have said the biggest challenge in the print industry is sometimes you're keeping something alive that's dead, and you should move on and try something new. So let's start with you, Charity. How do you determine themes, special sections? How much is editorial driven? How much is advertising driven?
Sure. And, this is my first year, so I'm going to give you that perspective. We just went through and did our 2026 planning. We have things like this, which is our top 25 restaurants. This is editorial driven. And this is the one that everybody wants to be in because this is the keepsake issue where people refer back to what does 5280 say are the top 25 restaurants and restaurateurs in the market. That's 100% editorial. And one of the most coveted issues of the year. And then we have, and you've got this one, is our professionals. So like this is our doctor's issue. Look how fat and thick this was. Dave was happy to see that one come through. And that's really important as well. So we do that with a third party that surveys and identifies who are the top doctors in the Denver market as recommended by their peers. So 5280 is just facilitating that survey and then publishing the results. But it tends to be one of our richest and most profitable magazines every year as well. So we do that for professionals across the board. And again, I've inherited both of those. I give full credit to Dan and the team for building that up over the years, and we intend to continue to do it under my tutelage.
Mike, same question to you. You have a lot of niche publications. I mean, you're not just a monthly magazine. I've explored, but do you do themes, and how do you determine them, and how successful are they?
No, that's been our sweet spot because like I talked about, and B2B has been really great because of the share of voice, and we'll launch separate publications and sections because we can say, how else do you get a hold of business owners? Radio, TV, billboard, you're wasting a ton of money. We're mailing them right to the CEOs and what you need. So we have a monthly for that, and then we have a thing called Growth Leaders where it's one per industry, like a directory of if you're a business owner and you need IT service, banking, whatever. It's a 2 or 4 page layout that gives you your option, and you hold on to it all year. And our team has a number. You try to sell it out in 30 days, and you move on to the next one. And you use behavioral sales. It's very exclusive. Need to know now, or we're inviting this company, and we're going. So we do that. We have a Great Places to Work publication that does really well. The key to that one was, how do we get a hold of these big companies that never advertise, but they'll advertise for hiring, and then maybe go and sell them something else? Is that, so we'll launch these pubs for many different reasons. Some of them are like kind of like loss leaders that we can make money for to get into a new segment and try to sell them
Say
what they,
that again. Some of them are loss leaders in order
yeah.
to enter a new niche, correct?
Yeah, because we offer other services, digital advertising, web design, marketing services. So if there's an audience like the bigger corporate companies in the area, we can't they usually aren't doing local advertising, but they'll locally support community or they'll do hiring ads. We've got some of our biggest customers by being able to do a small deal with them, and they'll actually pick up our call because of that product that led us to a big meeting and now a retainer-based marketing
I want
customer.
everyone to think about that. Sometimes the niche pub or the niche product could be your gateway into a whole new business category with a whole new set of decision makers. Charity, you're nodding your head on that, correct?
Yeah, indeed, indeed. We have been looking more into how can we better serve the business community. We have a strong business journal here, so like how do we carve out our niche around that? And so I do think there's always opportunity to look at what's happening in your market and then find that next niche. Drago is one of the best at doing that.
This is amazing. Okay, we got to move on because we're halfway through our journey, and there's so many more topics. And I want to get it. And again, the chat's been really lively. I have not been able to keep my eyes on it, but thank you, Charity, for answering questions to you. Hopefully, Mike, you can keep an eye on there as well. Dave, I understand your team is in the chat room. Is that correct, Dave? To answer
They
any
are in the chat room, so if you have any questions concerning printing publishing, go ahead and ask, and one of us will answer, or the panelists will jump in for sure.
Yeah, because I'm like running all the buttons here by myself. I don't have a team right now. All right, Dave, this is where you're going to be answering a lot more questions. I know I wanted to costs, duh, biggest category of questions when we were setting up and teeing up this thing was about cost. For example, how do we curtail, duh. I joke about this. I was in sales for, decades, and then suddenly I'm a publisher, and I used to say to audiences, hey, I have a secret I learned. Postage and printing are expensive. I mean, yeah, there's no question. And that's a big issue, Dave. People are saying right now, I'm having trouble keeping the lights on. How does, and how to sell the steeper cost of print over digital? How to get advertiser typically only do print or digital, do both instead? I think these are worthwhile questions. That multimedia slant, first of all, Dave, hang on a second. Let me go to Charity. We've been starting with ladies first here. Charity, how do you look at the cost? You just put out a huge, I mean, unbelievably thick edition, correct? That was not cheap.
Yes.
What do you look at? How do you work with Dave on this? What do you do in order when you're analyzing weight, thickness, postage expenses, and all that and more?
Yeah, well, there's a few things. So first of all, we look kind of across the board. We are a monthly at what our average cost will be, and then we direct and set our advertising rates to ensure that each book will be profitable. And we have set this year something new. We have an internal policy that every book will be at least 100 pages. We feel like that's a service we owe to our advertisers and to our readers. And so then just working through the math there. But every one of the books that we're putting out are profitable. And that is a really important component to how you can sustain this. But when we have the conversation with an advertiser, thank you for showing this October issue, we also extend
That cost me
conversation.
$6, by the way. Go ahead.
Thank you. But we extend the conversation to say, you want to be affiliated with 5280, you want to be in front of these readers, let us help you reach them everywhere they go. So across the 5280 footprint, and because I own January Spring, also retargeting them and using that rich first party data that we have in order to follow them literally everywhere they go, whether it's streaming TV, social, or on their mobile phone.
Mike, I want to talk to you now. Tell me more about how when we did the tee up meeting with Dave and the team before this, you started having a dialogue with me about how you will work with Dave and his team to find ways to make to make it the most cost effective you can for every pub. Can you explain that process and what kind of resource? Dave, this is your commercial. You see, you're finally getting it now.
This is great. Drago, do a good job here, please.
All right, go ahead. Dave's paying for this time, so Drago, it's up to you now.
Well, it's the truth though. But I've worked with other printers, and the pub is very entrepreneurial, and that's what I really like. And versus problem, I'll go get an answer, send a quote scenarios. That we have conversations all the time where it's like you're talking with a business partner, and we're coming up with scenarios, and so we'll do. What type of paper, weights, qualities, white colors of them, I mean, the type of mailing scenarios, can we EDDM some of this? What kind of list curation can we get? What can we do to increase some money too in that issue, whether they're unique inserts or things that we can go out and sell to bring in some more revenue. But it's constantly a cool collaboration around all these different things. A lot of people have no idea the amount of variables that can go into price. And, just this year we worked on different paper qualities and colors and, trying to save money that way. But they make us way more money than we save. I mean, our conversations are more around the different revenue opportunities, and the price has always been really good. I've never really had to work that hard on price, to be honest with you. It's more about like, what can we do to make this product stick out better, types of paper, inserts, ways to print it and mail it differently so that I don't have to worry about nickel and dime Dave,
Yeah.
Dave, this is your chance.
Mike, if I could add to
Go ahead,
that,
Charity. Go ahead, Charity.
Before I got here last year, the team here experimented with a different paperweight, again, in efforts to just figure out if there was some cost savings there. They quickly abandoned it because they learned in the market that there was a perception associated with a high quality product like 5280. And the publication printers team, when I first came on board, took me to lunch and said, here's some of the things that you know and understand about this magazine and how it's perceived in the market. And this summer, we increased the cover rate as well. And that was, again, something where we just want to make sure that it is coming across the way we envision it being a premium product. And Sanchez and his team have been really helpful to me learning this piece of the business. So thank you, sir.
Dave, you're getting a lot of kudos here, but
I'm telling you.
May I chime in one quick second too, just
Jody,
to kind of
okay,
back up
because
exactly what Jared said?
You're a publisher too. I forgot. Go ahead.
Yes. So, and we're on the B2B space, but we have found publication printers to be extremely helpful as well. We had an issue with our January issue with a different printer last year that Dave had kind of quickly figured out for us. And I think that the way that they approach their entire business model, that I know that Dave has things in his media kit that he likes to say, that his reps are not just out there, just like he said, selling printing. They're really out there kind of giving you solutions for things, which I think is important because in all these pubs that we're talking about, you're talking about building community. And the community is what is so important. And every community has a certain thing that they are looking for, whether it's high-end paper stock or a textured cover or whatever. And they are there to just help provide those solutions in the most cost-efficient manner that they can. I think they add a lot of added value to what they do, which helps all of us tremendously.
All right, Dave, I was going to ask you when someone approaches you, I mean, obviously you're you're vice president of sales, you're in charge of bringing that top line. I'm sure you got a boss you got to answer to and you sit in meetings. What is the first thing going through your head? Can I close this guy? Or is you want to bring this in, I'm setting you up for the right answer. You want to bring him in long term. How does your brain work when it comes to a new customer?
Well, Mike, that's a great question, but that is actually one of the last thing that goes through my mind. We have an incredible culture here, an owner that's been here a long time, and his culture has spread throughout our company, and we maintain that culture. It's not about selling something; it's about helping someone. And so I like to start all my conversations with, what are you doing and how are you doing it? And really getting to know your business. Tell me what you're after and who's your reader, and tell me what you're doing with the other printer, and how do you go about your day every day? And then I look for all kinds of different avenues inside that to help you. And sometimes it's not the printing. Sometimes it's getting with charity and January spring, and exploring your digital side, or growing that, or getting with Baxter, and there's so many different things. And like Mike said, he'll call me and say, Dave, I have an idea. And we sit on the phone and we work through this idea, and we come up with what's the best way to put it on the press, what's the best way to advertise it to the people, how do we get it out so that he can make money and that we can also make money too. So it's not just about the printing. It's all our salespeople are, I want to say, trained to have a value add. What can you do for the publisher? Because anybody can pick up the phone and say, here, let me put ink on paper and put it on our press, and it costs $1. Anybody can do that. Any printer can do that any day of the week. It's what else can you do? Down to the postage. One of the things that we're hearing today from so many publishers that aren't printing here is that my printer never talks to me about all the postal discounts that are available. And right now there's a discount going on for 10% postage. 10% off your postage bill if you qualify. And that's something that we're very proactive in reaching out to our publishers and say, you fit this mode. So now we want you to go through the hoops with us. We'll take you through the hoops, and we're going to help you save 10%. It doesn't do anything for our bottom line, absolutely nothing. But what it does is it helps the publisher stay profitable. And if you're profitable, we become profitable. So it's a great business relationship. So along with all the other things they've said, those things.
Let's talk about direct mail for a second. You offer direct mail services. Mike, we discussed this, by the way, if I may do a commercial for another research company, Jody, don't hate me, but Burrell Associates, you may have heard of, researches advertisers and says, what are you looking for? What do you need? What are more? It turns out a lot of advertisers are turning back to direct mail. It seems to be working better. I think it may have to go with that scarcity thing. That's just one man's opinion. But Mike, you are high on direct mail and offering it as a solution to your advertisers and using it in tandem with your products. Am I correct, sir?
Oh yeah. And there's a reason the catalog business is booming right now too, if you go in your mailboxes. But it's a customer acquisition thing, they have to touch it. How many times does somebody have to see an ad on digital before they get impacted? 20 plus times, right? So it's all math. But we use that too. And we sell a lot of digital with addressable geofencing on top. And but with pub printers, I found a couple easy examples, but we have a great agreement. What's nice about publication printers is they do want you to be profitable. So we have such an easy partnership when it comes to them to help customers print catalogs, print their calendars, their direct mail pieces. We have our pricing dial. It's like a well-oiled machine, and so we offer that as a product offering, and we do a lot of direct mail. To me, is just a great local solution that we can put digital on top of and have a good print partner to go to. And especially if you want somebody with a sheet fed and a web press and the ability to kind of work through ideas. Otherwise, it seems like there's a lot of these small, sheet fed companies in town that they just don't really go beyond the quote and here you go kind of a deal.
I want to urge those that are in the chat room to please reply to everyone, because we're seeing some questions go to the panelists and it should be answered. So just remember, that's something Zoom should not do. It should default to everyone first and to post-panel. That's just a little shopkeeping. Let's get into the final question. Go ahead. I'm sorry, did I hear someone? Never mind. All right. A lot of questions centered around this topic we had when people registered youth. And it was interesting how people were looking at, can I use this? Can make print attractive to the new demography, to millennials? Can I make, or even younger, God forbid? I want better to different audience channel characters. How are they help build the success? I love this one. How to create a redesign geared towards younger readers. What does that mean? Maybe Dave, do you give advice on this? And merging print and social media, because I think we all know on this panel, as well as our audience, that if you want to hit a younger market, you better be on fire in social media. How do those marry, if they can at all? I'm going to do the same round robin as I always do. Charity, were those? How do you approach the younger audience, if I may be so bold? And Charity, we lost you, so I'll go to Mike now, to Drago first. Drago, how do you approach the younger audience, if I may?
I don't really approach them.
All right. What do you mean by that? Was it you were not comfortable with
I really don't target them that much with our print publications. Digitally, for digital advertising, that's a different story, but that's an audience that I don't really want to try to figure out, to be honest with you. It's tricky. So we try to, and when I don't know exactly when you're saying younger, what exact demo
All
you're
right.
talking. But I think in the end of the day, we pride ourselves on trying to be trendy in our design and content and how we put the content out there. So there's a cool factor, and to me, I think that gets people to want to pay attention. We also say that our design needs to be ADHD compatible. We say that a lot around here. Not many long paragraphs. You got to be able to read it on a toilet or So,
I think
but as far as
I
targeting
got to tell you, Mike,
younger,
not to interrupt you, but
Yeah.
the biggest challenge I have during broadcasts and interviews is getting a pull quote. Thank
Yeah.
you. You just saved me a whole mess of time on that one. Go ahead.
Well, I'm working with Dave to try to get scratch and sniff paper. Maybe try that. But that audience, I think, we want consumers on our consumer side. So we want people that spend the most money. And that's what we're trying to get a share of voice of. So we're going to be focused on that as much as possible because that's who's spending the money. And we just don't have a lot of publications, I guess, that are going to too young of an audience. Well, that's a whole nother battle we probably have to figure out. But I think we're going to the people that have the income, you know?
Charity, same question now that you're back with us. What do you look at redesigns? Do you look at covers? Do you think print can drill into a younger demography, and how do you accomplish that, if at all?
That was one of the first things that we did after I got here, was really dove into our audience and making sure for our editorial team as well as our sales team who is our reader. And that's part of the reason Jody is here helping us with the reader study. But like Mike, we have found that our print readers are older, more affluent. They're the ones that have the disposable income and are spending. Our younger readers tend to be digital first, and we are able to reach both sets of audiences through our events. So for our younger readers, we will capture them in digital, introduce them to print, but then when they're at our events, they see the magazine and start to get introduced that way. But it's just a different audience that has different needs and expectations.
All right. So
I will say, Mike, I'll give a couple little things we're doing. We're moving our websites over to Ghost, if anybody's heard of the Ghost platform. So that's, instead of WordPress, we're going to Ghost. It's a little more like Substack, more mobile friendly, a lot more towards the younger audience. You can embed things and all that kind of stuff. Then, quick tips here. We're doing affiliate links to people we do stories on. So we'll give them a link that is trackable, and we'll pay them 25 cents per reader that they send out in their network for their article on the digital.
wow.
We've done that. There's some stipulations. We can share that with you, which I think is cool. And then we're toying around with article trailers. So like our editors doing a quick little rundown of why they did the article and what to expect for the bigger articles that we can put on YouTube and all that. So you get that video preview, you get people locked in. So those are a couple things we're actively working on and trying to get to.
Jody, I asked you to put together, I mean, you gave us a lot of data, which teed up amazingly, set the table for our dialogue brilliantly. We only have just a few minutes left, but then I asked you to compile your advice from that data. In other words, you're drinking all this in, and then and try to. I know you could spend an hour. I could have you on your own webinar, but can you distill it down to maybe 4 or 5 bullets? And you did that for me. Thank you. I think this would be a good time to share that with the audience. Is that okay with you?
Sure.
So with your permission, hang on a second. I got to throw a switch here, which I did not throw, but now I will. With your permission, I am going to ask you now to help us understand. Okay, I'm on the wrong one. Please forgive me. I got to go to the right one. And that's you and I. Here we go. So let's go ahead, run it down for me. Here are the slides you shared with me. Give us the overview of what this data means as far as actionable advice to a publisher.
Well, I think that Charity and Mike have hit the nail on the head with just knowing, like, you need to know what your audience wants, and you need to know as much about that audience as you possibly can. So hence why we do these ad studies and we come up with as much data as we possibly can, right? And then you can feed into that audience. And if we want to grow certain segments, like if you want to try to get younger readers, then you look at this and you try different editorial things to bring them in. So the doubling down on content is pretty obvious. It's definitely going to drive action. It is, you're going to look at your readership and you're going to figure out what little nugget do I have out there that I'm not hitting yet, and then try to take advantage of that. So I think that providing content that'll be for the old original reader, new younger readers, can help grow that for publishers for sure. And then the identify your super readers. I always say, I am here to help you get the information that is going to help you. So we do these ad studies and we talk about them online. I ask completely different questions than Charity's going to ask, than Mike would ask, it doesn't really matter. But what we're trying to do is figure out exactly who those people are and what they have to offer you too. I mean, we're all, not to sound terrible, but we're all in this to make money, right? And so we need to use this to our advantage, and knowing exactly who those people are and using that information is just going to help you do that. So knowing what they're interested in and making sure that you're covering that to their liking on a monthly basis is definitely going to help. And then again, that's showcasing the reader loyalty. I mean, we talked about like over 90%, especially in the niche lifestyle world, are regular readers of these publications. They want to give their opinion. They want to tell you about themselves because they want you to keep catering towards them. So that's like never really an issue with us finding out information from people. When we send out these surveys to lifestyle people, they are more than happy to say, yes, I have money and time and I will happily tell you what I want. So that's like not really an issue for us ever. And then the advertiser trust. We definitely find that when people are reading these publications, and this isn't B2B, B2C, it doesn't matter. Print gives the implied endorsement of like, I'm here to stay. This is a real company. I am investing. Everybody knows print is expensive, right? So I think that when you put your ad in print, it's not just a little digital ad that followed you to a website, which is also fantastic. It is not something that came into your email box, which is also fantastic too, but it is in front of you in print. So you know that that company's real. So when it takes time, when you hit all of those touch points, because we need all of those touch points today, the digital, the email, the programmatic, all of it. And when that all, comes down to seeing the ad in print also, that's kind of when you're going to finally take the action. And that's what we do when we ask about what those actions are. But that really does build that advertiser trust. So that's very, very important. And then leveraging your pass along readership. Even in my B2B space, we have a great pass along readership, but lifestyle magazines, these niche lifestyle publications that people can create and really hone in on a specific audience, people are going to pass those around. And the pass along readership for those is much higher than it is in a B2B publication typically. And so your reach is vast. You will have your set readership, but your reach is always going to be more than what your readership says or what you say that your readership is.
Final question for the group. And Dave, we're going to finish up with you, sir, because it's your show. Thank you so much for your support. But first of all, to Charity, what one replicable print strategy you'd recommend that others could implement right away in their own markets? If you had to pick one, And you got all shapes and stripes on this thing, big and small, the
Yeah.
niche publishers and news publishers. Can you think of one? Am I putting, and now see, this is not fair because Mike's got a chance to think while you're
I know.
answering
I was
the
going to say
question.
this one you didn't send in our prep material.
Nah, I made it up at the last minute. Sorry.
No, I would say try as best you can to have a diversity of advertisers in your book. And that's something again that we have really focused on because your readers are whole people, right? They're interested in food, they're interested in architecture, they're interested in art, they're interested in culture, right? And make sure that your advertising strategy represents the whole of the market. And so that is something I think that any publisher can look at and say, what is a representative footprint for my publication of who should be in there from an advertising perspective?
Mike, you've had time to think. Same question. One replicable strategy you would recommend to any publisher, shape, and stripe right now.
Well, I'm just a big believer in compartmentalizing, and there's, a lot of publishers I've talked to, and maybe like Charity, you got one big book, and there's been challenges as far as that's expensive to print other versions. And as you can see, we're very compartmentalized on all the different products. And to us, we have this strategy that works. It's, instead of trying to sell a ton of advertising in one pub, hit a number, sell enough, move on, so that and know your numbers. And we say you wouldn't do your laundry one sock at a time. Do a load every time. So we look at these things like that. And what's great, and here's the kicker, is then you can sell behaviorally better. You can sell exclusives. You can sell you could get people to buy and spend money and not trip over all the details and make the buying cycle really long and have hard expectations. And almost everything we sell revolves around exclusive, fear of missing out, and keep your competitors out. And so they more care about the price of it keeping my competitor out versus how many impressions did that get me? How many exact leads did that give me? That didn't change my business overnight. Why am I doing it? So we try to build our products and offerings around that kind of a group of people that we can sell behaviorally to. And that's the best position to be in, because we all hate all these calls when people think that nothing ever works all the time and blah, 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 right?
I hear you. Dave, you're going to bring it home for us. Same simple question. If you were to give advice, and you deal with hundreds of different shapes and stripes of publishers, if you were to give advice to those right now that we've convinced them, maybe I should be doing more in print side. Maybe I should have a publication or two, maybe quarterly, maybe monthly. I don't know yet. What advice would you give them? What's replicable now? What comes top of mind, sir?
Yeah, I would think my first thing that I would do is to sit down with your printer, regardless of who it is, and talk to them about what you want to do and how you want to do it and the marketplace that you want to go into. Don't get into ego publishing, where you're printing on paper that is not relevant to your marketplace, but really start to think about how you can be profitable and how your editorial can help the market that you're in. But just have true and honest and open discussions with your printer and see how they can help you in all areas of the print, not just the ink on paper. There's so much more that printing companies can do for you. So, and if you have problems with that, my little sales pitch, we have an 800 number out there. You can reach out to us regardless if we print your magazine or not. And we'll be more than happy to help steer you in the right direction and get you connected with some of the panelists that you are listening today, and even yourself, Mike, to talk about helping you. I want print to survive long after I'm gone. So anything I can do to make that happen I'm all in.
Mike, 30 seconds. Pub printer shipping, easy, great, affordable, and they have cool ways to save you money on that. They buy tons of paper up front, so paper is usually never a problem, which is also a really good thing to know. Okay, and their mail circ team and the different types of machineries. And if you ever go tour their facility, you get to drive around on scooters all through the facility. So that's pretty cool.
I'm on my way. I'm gonna have to do that. Publicationprinters.com, correct, Dave? That's the
That is
website.
correct.
And your email address, Dave.
Mine is dave.sanchez@publicationprinters.com.
I promised full year subscriptions to E&P. Editorandpublisher.com/subscribe. You're going to see a promo code and you're going to type in Pub Printers Rocks. That gets you a free full year subscription of our printed product because we print proudly too. But editorandpublisher.com/subscribe. Thank you to my panel. You guys have been excellent. Thank you, Dave, for supporting E&P. Thank you to your audience, to the audience for sticking around. Then again, keep in mind, those that registered will get a link later on today to the recording of this, the rundown, the slides, everything you need. Thanks again. Guys, take care. Thanks for participating.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.